Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
This is the Cats Roundtable with John Catsimatidis.
Everywhere around the world, they come to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they come to America.
Good morning, New York. This is the Cats Roundtable. John Catsimatidis here. Another great show for you today. 4 days to New Year's Day. We have Governor Kathy Hochul of New York State, Steve Cates talking about what's going on in the skies. John Samuelson is worried about his people in New York in the subways. Jesse Aim from the Manhattan Institute, Governor David Paterson, John Terrett on the economy, Senator George Borrello, what's going on in our New York State, and Bruce Blakeman wants to run for governor. And let's start off with Michael Stoller with a real estate report.
Good morning. This is Mike Stoller for the Stoller Real Estate Report. What's happening in the luxury rental buildings, in the condo buildings in New York and Miami? I'm not the expert, so I brought today the expert in this business, managing director of the Teplitsky Dunier team, Barak Dunier. Thanks for being here.
Michael, thank you for having me on your show.
So tell me what's going on with regard to condos. I mean, the Ocean report says things are looking pretty good.
So Ocean, yes, it's a great report that we follow every week. She tracks all the contracts that were signed the week before for $4 million and above, which is technically the luxury market. And activity over the last 3 or 4 months have been solid. We're looking at 25 to 30 contracts a day, and these are not bad numbers.
You were talking to me the other day about the 3 Ps. Explain the 3 Ps.
Oh, the 3 Ps is one of our philosophies on the Teplitsky Dunier team. When we come to sell property, it's about the 3 Ps. The 3 Ps stand for people, presentation, and pricing. All those things have to work in harmony. The people that you hire to represent you, that's us. We usually do a pretty good job. And then how you present it, how you market it. We have a stager on the team to market all the properties. We have a marketing director to showcase all the properties, and that's how you present them. And then the pricing has to be correct. All 3 Ps, Michael, have to work, and that's the recipe for success.
Has it always worked?
Yes, in any market. When the market is a seller's market, buyer's market, obviously things when it's a seller's market, it's much easier. You can be a little bit less sharp on the pricing.
So are we in the seller's market today?
Right now, I think we're in the tail end of a buyer's market. Things are just about to turn. Interest rates started to come down. Inventory is still tight. It was the first 6-8 months of the year were a little bit of a struggle. Things were sitting on the market much longer. But now, as the Olson report is and other reports that we're looking at are showing, in New York, at least things are starting to move and starting to turn.
I mean, there was another report by the Corcoran blog talking about the pricing, approximately $2,000 a square foot for condos?
Sometimes more.
No, in today's market specifically.
In today's market, it depends. I mean, $2,000 per square foot is not something
it's on the low side.
nobody's getting too excited about that anymore. In fact, there is another project that our friend Mickey Naftali just bought, at 800 Fifth Avenue on 60th, right next to the pier, and he paid $2,400 a foot for it, and he wants to sell for $11,000 a foot.
Will he get it?
Look, and you cannot beat the location.
No.
And I think there is a market for the ultra luxury market. These people still have money, and they're buying, and they're looking for quality and trophy properties, and they will pay it.
So who's buying? Who are the buyers in the market?
Well, you have all kinds. I mean, luxury market. Our specialty in the group, both in South Florida and in New York, is between $3 million to, our bread and butter is between $3 million and $5 or $6 million, but we do plenty and $10 million and above the ultra luxury space. So buyers, a lot of the deals are cash today. Over 60% of the deals are all cash. Right, and people are coming. They're looking for quality. At the same time, nobody wants to overpay. Right, so they're really looking for value, but for the right location, right finishes, good condition. People don't want to do work today if they can help it. Those people are buying.
And where are they from? Are they local people or they're international people?
Less international, okay, but local and national. With people from Texas, from California, from the Midwest. They're coming and they want to get a piece of New York.
Let's talk about your business in Florida. What's happening in the Florida condo market?
So we sell primarily in South Florida, Miami primarily. Miami, ever since COVID, has been on fire. Okay, that's for obvious reasons. A lot of New Yorkers wanted to go there. Do
a lot of New Yorkers want to go there now that we have a new mayor?
Look, the Mamdani effect that everybody talks about, at least in our, we thought initially this sounds amazing. Everybody's going to sell in New York and buy in Miami, and we're going to be on both sides of the deal, and we can retire next year. But, we're not retiring yet because, we're getting calls like that, but there's no flood. It's the exact, it's more or less the same volume of calls that we've been getting all along, and a lot of those people who want to make that move from New York to Florida, they've been planning it for the last 2 years anyways.
So where do you see the best market in the city? I mean, Mickey's project at 800 Fifth Avenue, no question will be that. And then 645 Madison.
Right. So where do you think the projects are in the city? Well, Extel is building beautiful project on the Upper West Side, 50 West 66th Street. There's another building right above the ABC building that they're doing. Some great projects, downtown. And anything that you see that's good quality and the right locations, they're selling very, very well. I also see, downtown was very, very hot. But I see there's more trends now towards the Upper East Side just because it's a little bit more affordable than downtown, and people build some very, very good products.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'll see you next year on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to come any year that you ask me.
Okay, thank you.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is John Samuelson, the president of the International Transport Workers Union. John, give us your vision for 2026.
Well, for the TWU and our 165,000 members, we are going to keep fighting to settle contracts that protect working people, and we're going to continue to organize new workers. We've grown the union from 130,000 to 165,000 in a very short period of time, and we're going to keep doing the things that have triggered that growth, which is fight for working people.
I know you have people in the airline business. You have people in the MTA. Give us the type of the rest of your union. 165,000 people.
Anything that moves, we organize. That's our mantra. For instance, we have 30,000 or so workers at American Airlines, including 10,000 jet mechanics. We have the flight attendants at Southwest Airlines, 23,000 of them. We have marquee public transit properties like New York City, Philadelphia, Miami, the iconic cable cars in San Francisco. We also have the Northeast Corridor at Amtrak. We're all over the place, and we're growing like wildfire.
Safety in the airline business. I've heard too many bad things lately.
I do think there's problems. There are problems related to air traffic control, which actually go beyond the TW's bailiwick. I know there's an effort underway right now to actually rebuild the air traffic control systems. Super important. From our perspective, there's one big secret. The dirty big secret of the airline industry is the amount of maintenance work that they do in foreign countries. And this has been a fight that the TW has fought for a long time. We fought it against American Airlines to keep jobs on USA soil. We believe those fights will actually raise their ugly heads again as we go into 2026 and beyond. It's a fight we're ready for. We're going to protect these U.S. soil jobs that the working communities of America are built around.
2026 is supposed to be a great year for getting businesses back to America. How do you envision 2026 for the American people?
Certainly bringing jobs back onto U.S. soil is of paramount importance. I think that government bringing workers back into America or bringing jobs back into America, manufacturing capacity combined with organizing by the trade union movement will propel working families forward. You know, the tariffs are allegedly going to work and bring these jobs back. Hopefully they do. But, you know, for me, and, you know, I'm just a track worker, but it seems that the tariffs need to be accompanied by industrial domestic policy that actually facilitates that growth as well on the domestic side. And we look forward. We look forward to organizing as the work comes back.
You know, in bringing jobs back to America, I think it'll be a great overall.
Bringing jobs back to America is key. As we organize and as we grow the union, we know that the two big issues for American workers are wages and housing, and they're tied to the hip. So anything that's going to bring jobs back into the United States, good, solid-paying jobs, trade union jobs, hopefully, is an extremely healthy thing to rebuild America's middle class.
Well, it's good to be with you, and I hope we can spend more time together.
I hope we spend time together in 2026. We have a lot of fights coming up. Right now, we're in a pitched battle in Akron, Ohio, for a contract for transit workers, absolutely coming under attack, and ironically, coming under attack by a guy named Mark Derrig, who's the chair of the Summit County Democratic Party. If you can imagine, the chair of a Democratic Party in Ohio is attacking blue-collar transit workers in Ohio, in a place where the Democrats have struggled and have a problem winning. And now we know why.
And you had a problem in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we had a major problem in Philadelphia. And we just settled the contract without going on strike, thankfully. We delayed our efforts. We delayed the strike authorization vote and delayed going on strike. And we have finally settled a very good contract. And truthfully, a little credit has to go to Josh Shapiro, the governor. He did step in. He used the weight of the governor's office to actually drive a settlement forward, and it worked.
John Samuelson, Happy New Year. I look forward to spending more time together. And we'll talk again real soon.
I'm looking forward to it, John, and thank you for having me, and have a great Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is Jason Momoa, and I'll be your finance professor today. Welcome to Banking Smarter 101 with Chime. Bam! First lesson, sign up for Chime and set up direct deposit. You'll be joining millions of members banking fee-free. Second lesson, get cash back on eligible purchases while building credit and a higher APY on your savings. That's how you bank smarter this season. Fa-la-la-la-la, class dismissed. Join Chime today.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and a secure Chime Visa credit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. Details at chime.com/fees-info. With a qualifying direct deposit, earn 1.5% cash back on eligible secure Chime Visa credit card purchases. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. APY means annual percentage yield. Learn about credit building and more at chime.com.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. Buying parts for your car? You'll know that will it work feeling. But on eBay, buying parts is different. eBay's free returns means if it doesn't fit, or if it isn't what you expected, you just print a label, drop it off, and get your refund fast. No haggling, no stress, and at least 30 days to return any eligible item. Millions of parts, free returns. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable.
At the stroke of midnight on that great holiday, gonna have
4 days to New Year's Day, 3 days to New Year's Eve. With us today is Governor David Paterson. Governor, can you believe the year is over and we got a new year coming?
It goes like a flash, John, and they seem to go faster and faster. But I will say this. I want to wish you and all of your audience, the people that listen to us every week, a very happy new year. And I want to make a suggestion that might make the new year happier than you might think. This time of year, there are so many events. There's so many productions, and people are going to plays. They're going to ball games. They're going to see performers. And they don't realize that the price they're paying on their tickets is 33% higher than they would have paid 7 years ago, because Live Nation and Ticketron, the two major ticketing outfits, have a semi-merger, and they basically have used it to bully the performers, to bully the public who doesn't even know that it's being bullied. And so right now, if you bought a ticket to a concert for $100, 30% of your ticket, $30 out of the 100, is going to one of these two entities.
Understood. That's a lot of money, and I don't know what the solution is. But what
I'll tell you what.
What are you going to be doing New Year's Eve?
The solution is...
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us the solution and tell us what you're going to do New Year's Eve.
The solution is that the Attorney General, Tish James, who's actually been investigating this for the last 8 years, is now teaming up with other states, and 39 states are now bringing in action. And last week, a federal court judge gave them the opening to bring action against Ticketron and Live Nation. And I think that might get the prices back the way they are. And when we talk this time next year, we can talk about how much easier it is to go to see a baseball game or a great performer or go to Broadway.
Understood. What are you doing New Year's Eve?
I don't know, John. Anything that's safe, I'll try to do it.
Well, that sounds good to me. And me and Margot are going to be in the studio at midnight talking to the rest of the world. And,
really?
And you're always welcome to join us.
I'll talk to you during that time.
That sounds good. Well, David Paterson, Governor David Paterson, thank you for everything you've done to help, make our audience smarter, because common sense is not all that common. But thank you for everything you do, and God bless you, and God bless America.
God bless you, John, and your family, and I'll see you soon.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Governor Kathy Hochul. Governor, can you believe the year is over?
It went so fast, John, but I want to wish all your listeners a very happy New Year as we embrace 2026. I'm excited about the year, and I hope everyone else is as well.
I'd like to see your vision in 2026, and your vision of how our state is doing, how our city's going to do. We have a new mayor coming in. Where are you going to be New Year's, and how do you feel about New Year's?
Well, I love New Year's. It's a chance to gather with families and celebrate. But, it's not about how I'm spending. It's about how New Yorkers are. And I know there's still a lot of anxiety out there. People worried about, tariffs driving up the cost of everything, and inflation, which was promised to be lower, and prices lower, and they're just not. So we're here to continue focusing on what matters most to New Yorkers is their families and safety and affordability. And we've had some real wins over the past year. I just stood with our fabulous, wonderful Commissioner of Police, Jessica Tisch, and I'm so proud that the incoming mayor has asked her to stay. She'll be a great partner. We stood in the subway, John, and talked about statistics that a few years ago no one could have imagined, where we have now the lowest crimes in the subway. It's the second safest year on record was 2025. And, we surged police officers in the subway. I just announced that the state will continue a commitment to help pay for overtime, which we did all last year, and help drive down the crimes that people were experiencing before that, another $77 million. Our mental health outreach, and we helped over 1,000 homeless New Yorkers be able to get into permanent housing. And I said, our subways cannot be a rolling homeless shelter. Riders don't deserve that, and people deserve to get treatment in a place that's more secure for them. We have underground cameras. We have cameras on every train. We're changing the lighting. We have the platform barriers. And so all this is making a difference. But I'm so glad that we at least turned the corner. And, we do our surveys. People are feeling safer. And I'm going to continue working on that with the incoming mayor and the commissioner of police and any support I can give from the state of New York. Because if people feel safe, they'll let their kids go to school. They'll come to work. They'll come in for plays. And, John, you walk around the city all the time. You see how vibrant and exciting it is. And the energy that we lost for a few years is back. And I think it has a lot to do with just people feeling safer on our streets and in our subway. And, again, we're never going to stop making that our top priority. But we had a very good year in 2025.
Yes, I mean, I really believe that the quality of life is very, very important to all New Yorkers, especially in New York City. And whether it's being safe walking around, whether it's being safe in the subways, which I'm glad to hear are safer. And have you had a good relationship with the new mayor coming in?
Yes, interestingly, just like Donald Trump and myself have good relationships with the incoming mayor. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. Again, I didn't know him well when he was first elected, and I was concerned about some positions that I've raised with him, and will continue to raise our differences. But there's also a lot of alignment, affordability, and driving down the cost of living in this great city. And one of the reasons young families are having trouble staying is the cost of not just housing, but childcare. And he and I have had many meetings individually and with our staff to find a path forward, something that's reasonable, that we can get started on universal childcare. And, employers in New York are really going to benefit when their own employees don't have the stress of worrying about who's taking care of their children. I think that's going to give us a real competitive advantages for our businesses as well, and I'm excited about that. So no one ever wants to root against New York City. It is the economic engine for really the nation, and we want it to be successful. So you know what? Albany has a lot to say about things, but I want to have a very positive relationship. I worked with now my third mayor. I worked with Mayor de Blasio when I first came in office. I worked with Mayor Adams, and I'll work with Mayor Mondani.
We're coming into the new year. We talked about safety in the streets, safety in the subway. Just anything else, any other categories you want to talk about for 2026?
Well, I think the affordability issue is going to always be top of mind. And what I'm really proud of is that our affordability agenda that we announced a year ago has come to fruition. 8.6 million people across the state got a check upwards of $400 in time for Thanksgiving, at a time when families were struggling. This spring, when people file for their taxes, families with children under the age of 4 will get $1,000 back to help cover those expenses, as you see with your grandchild. The diapers, the formula, the clothes they keep outgrowing. And every family with children older than 4 will get $500 back. That's real money to help them. And we put money back in people's pockets by covering school breakfasts and lunches. And the other thing that people don't know about is that's going into effect is the largest middle-class tax rate cut in 70 years. And that's all happening this year in 2026. So we have a lot of positive developments based on what we've already started. There will be new projects for housing getting off the ground, major economic development projects, in fact, even upstate. The largest private sector investment in American history, Micron, where we're building semiconductors, the groundbreaking is just in a couple of weeks. And so a lot of positive things are happening, creating more jobs and opportunities, focusing on affordability, safety always number one, and also major transit and infrastructure projects. The Interborough Express, this will be one of the most significant, really a catalyst for change, a project that will be connecting Brooklyn and Queens and develop the opportunities for more growth there, more housing to be built. So I'm excited about all these opportunities and to continue the good work we've been doing. But we never rest on our laurels, John. We just keep plowing through and keep delivering for New Yorkers.
And the last time we talked, you talked about new energy coming down from Canada based on the water system in Canada. And we also talked about small modular reactors. Or how's that progress coming?
We have to generate more power as we create more opportunities for the innovation economy and technology and the big job creators that I want to attract to New York. We have to power them as well as reduce costs for people paying high utility bills. So I negotiated a deal with Canada a few years ago, and literally this year New York City will get 25% of its power from hydroelectric power coming down the Hudson River from Quebec. It's going to help us have that resiliency, that reliability that we're going to need. And also this past week, I was meeting the Premier of Ontario, and they're real leaders in the small modular reactor space. And so Doug Ford, I was just with Doug.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy, and we're going nuclear in New York. And that's very exciting because last week we just announced that 23 companies are interested in doing the project for us. We have 8 communities that want to host it, and we're moving ahead into a nuclear facility in upstate New York to help power, again, the jobs and the homes that desperately need it. And I just spoke to President Trump about this and thanked him for his commitment to try to expedite the process because we can't wait any longer. This is critical for our future.
Governor Hochul, anything else you want to tell him? New Year's Eve, Wednesday night, New Year's Day, Thursday, Happy New Year, and we just want to have a great New Year.
It's going to be a great New Year. Again, my fondest wishes for a Happy New Year to you and your entire family, Margot, and the children and the grandchildren. And I'm so optimistic. I feel really good that our state has come through some really challenging times with the pandemic and inflation, and people are just so resilient in New York, and I love that about it. The New York spirit means we stay and we fight, and now more people are working in offices than remote than anywhere else in the country. We have office conversions where people are now building housing and buildings that were once becoming vacant in Midtown. So there's a life and vitality here that is so exciting. But as long as there's people who still need our help, I'll keep fighting for them and hoping everyone has a spectacular 2026.
We'll see you in the new year, and let's hope it's a happy and healthy for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County Chairman. You're running for governor. What is your vision for 2026 if you became governor?
Well, first of all, Happy New Year, John. So my vision for the coming year is that I want to run on a platform of bringing prosperity to New York families, to make neighborhoods safer and more secure, to have a policy of cutting taxes. We are the most overtaxed state in the whole United States, so I want to make sure that we can bring down the cost of government so that people, taxpayers, don't have to spend money on things that don't benefit them and, in fact, hurt them, like spending $4.5 billion on illegal migrants, which is what Governor Hochul did, which is money that could have been spent on infrastructure, hospitals, and, more importantly, schools, and cutting taxes. So
how much did the state spend? $2.5 billion? Is that in addition?
$4.5 billion.
4.5. Is that in addition to the city, or is that part of the city?
That is in addition to the city. The city spent about $8 billion. So between the two of them, it's over $12 billion on illegal migrants. It's a tremendous amount of money, and it's for people that didn't earn it. They've been here for 15 minutes. They're here illegally. When your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents migrated to the United States, first of all, they were happy to be here. They were blessed to be in America, and they knew they had to work hard. And if they did work hard and they played by the rules, that they would reward themselves and their family with a better life. Apparently now, under Governor Hochul, it's a policy of you come here, you get more than the residents do. You get more than the taxpayers do. You get a free phone, you get free lodging, you get free food, you get free transportation. I mean, that's just upside down.
In the city of New York,
I'm going to fix that.
They got free hotel rooms and free cell phones and whatever.
What about the taxpayers who have to foot that bill, who've been here and they've been hardworking, law-abiding citizens, and their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent in such a ridiculous way? I think that that's something that needs to be changed immediately. We have to address that right away.
By the way, congratulations. Congratulations. I have Secretary Burgum on the other day. Long Island got a 90-day reprieve from those windmills because of all the problems they created. Because for Nassau County, it's very important. Secretary Burgum himself said electricity from those windmills cost the consumer 10 times what they cost now.
Well, the whole thing is a big green energy scam by Governor Hochul. Her campaign contributors are lining their pockets with these ridiculous programs that produce energy, as you said, 4 times the cost of other energy sources. It's an eyesore in the middle of our ocean, on our landscape. It is a threat to commercial fishing. It is a threat to recreational fishermen. It's just not a good policy. So I am so happy that President Trump is doing everything in his power to try and stop it, because it's going to cost the consumers so much more money. We need affordable energy. We need natural gas. We need fossil fuels. We need coal. You can mix.
I think you said it right. Affordable energy, but not green energy at the cost of 10 times the amount.
No, and you can mix in wind. We have places in New York State that could generate wind, not in the middle of the ocean. It would be much cheaper. You've got hydro, that is a good source of energy. You've got other types of energy-producing materials that need to be exploited here in our state. When you take a look at the Marcellus, that field of natural gas on the southern tier in New York, you're talking about an area that's got a tremendous amount of energy that on one side of the border where they allow it in Pennsylvania, people are driving brand new Cadillacs, and on the New York side of the border, they're driving 30-year-old Chevrolets. So the bottom line
way they
is,
say it in Cuba,
why are we tapping into that?
Bruce, the way they say it in Cuba, 54 Chevys.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that it's not a good situation. It makes everybody unhappy, and people are miserable in New York State. And my New Year's resolution is, when I become governor, that I'm going to make people happy again in New York. I want to have a state that's affordable, that's safe, and where people are proud to call themselves New Yorkers.
Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County Executive. We're going to have many, many discussions on this, and thank you for coming on this Sunday morning, and Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year, and congratulations on a great premiere.
Thank you so much.
The Cats Roundtable.
And with us today is Senator George Borrello, and he's from Chautauqua County. Give us your feeling of what the heck is going on right now, and we have 2026 to look forward to.
Well, that's true, John, and yes, and the people of Chautauqua County wish you a Happy New Year. That's for sure. Well, look, we have certainly seen the shock of Elise Stefanik suspending her campaign for governor, and I was wholeheartedly supporting her, but I also believe that Bruce Blakeman can be and will be our next governor. I think the people of New York State are yearning for real leadership, and in 2026, we're going to see that. We're going to see Albany now shifting to this battle between the socialists based in New York City, with Zoran Mamdani and his, incredibly expensive and fatal agenda that has to go through Albany. And we're going to see essentially the radical climate agenda that has to be reckoned with, because Democrats have legal troubles there and certainly economic troubles. Governor Kathy Hochul, she's going from saying she's suspending the damaging all-electric buildings mandate because she's heard from labor unions and economists and builders saying that that New York State was going to be devastated by this, to signing a very controversial bill suspending what's called the 100-foot rule that would require natural gas companies to hook someone up that is looking for natural gas service that's within 100 feet of a natural gas line. And they're saying that this is going to save ratepayers money, which really is just a bunch of garbage.
That means if you're 100 feet away from a major gas pipe, you're not allowed to hook it up, or you are allowed to hook it up?
The utility company, the gas company, was required to hook you up for the last 40 years, required to hook you up at no charge, which was tremendous. It expanded the natural gas infrastructure. It made housing more affordable, heating our homes. Natural gas is still the cleanest and lowest cost, most reliable energy out there. Natural gas companies gladly hooked you up for free. Now, thanks to Governor Kathy Hochul and the Democrats, they're basically saying you cannot hook them up for free.
In other words, if you want to get hooked up, they'll hook you up, but they're going to charge you.
That's right. And it's going to raise
how much do you think the charge is?
It varies, but every estimate I've heard is it's going to raise the cost of a new build home in New York State on average about $14,000.
Who did the lobbying? Was it the utility companies that had to hook it up?
No, it's the radical environmentalists that are trying to destroy natural gas and other reliable forms of energy here in New York State. They went to the governor and said that they want to eliminate this. Again, under the guise that we're going to save ratepayers money, which I'd be damned if we see a gas bill go down as a result of this. But more importantly, this is about death by 1,000 cuts for natural gas. This is how they plan to destroy natural gas. People connected to natural gas means the less ability for the infrastructure to be maintained in a costly way. The only way that the Democrats in charge and the governor can make green energy look affordable is by making more reliable forms of energy like natural gas look unaffordable, and that's the plan here. And in a time when the governor is talking about affordability and a housing crisis, you're going to dramatically increase the cost of housing. I mean, it may be in downstate on Long Island or in New York City where the average price of a home is quite high, maybe $14,000 isn't so bad. But in my district, where we have people that routinely build modular homes, in the $100,000 to $200,000 range, adding $14,000 to the cost, can be devastating. And in some cases, it may be a decision between someone deciding to build a home or not build a home. So this is an anti-development agenda on the part of the governor. Again, she doesn't know which way she wants to go. On one hand, she cancels the all-electric building mandate. On the other hand, she does this, which is devastating. So this is her desperate attempt to try to pretend she can play both sides.
I guess Bruce Blakeman has one thing on being anti-green, but he is somewhat green. I guess a lot of decisions have to be made in New York State which way the state goes.
Well, that's it. Look, John, I think there are a lot of people that subscribe to the all-above mentality, meaning we want to have a diverse portfolio that includes clean energy and nuclear power, as well as natural gas and so forth. But that's not the policy that Governor Kathy Hochul and the Democrats in charge in Albany, that's not the position that they've taken. They are basically saying it's wind and solar or it's nothing. We just saw one of these battery storage facilities go up in flames in Orange County, up in the Hudson Valley. We're seeing, we just had stories of a school bus in a school district near my Senate district where the bus drivers are turning off the heat on these electric school buses, and otherwise they're not going to be able to make the entire route, and kids are freezing on the bus. So this is just a bunch of ridiculous mandates without any plans to achieve these radical goals. It's time to restore that balance and common sense. All the above strategy is certainly better than the radical pro-radical environmentalist strategy that Governor Hochul has embraced. And that's why I implore people to make Bruce Blakeman our next governor.
Senator George Borrello, thank you. Let's catch up again real soon in the new year. With us is Jesse Arms, and he's the vice president of the Manhattan Institute. It's only 3 days away from New Year's. Jesse, give us your vision.
My vision is one that's sort of open-ended. There's a lot of conversation going around in the media right now about what it is that this next generation of conservatives believe. And I just got back from Nashville, Tennessee, where I had a group of red state Republican Gen Z Zoomers. That means people between the ages of 18 and 29, and talked to them for the Manhattan Institute's magazine, City Journal, in a focus group about what it is they think. And we talked about everything. We talked about Donald Trump. We talked about J.D. Vance. We talked about Hitler. We talked about racism, politics, the economy, and more. And this is a generation that's got a lot of out there ideas.
Well, what was your conclusion?
Gen Z is spending a lot of time on their phones. They're spending a lot of time on TikTok. Their brains are being kind of fried, for lack of a better term. They're aware of that themselves. In many ways, they're a generation that is more progressive than the median GOP voter. But in other ways, they're just sort of out there. So there was a lot of drama over the past few days about this Turning Point USA event out in Arizona. They brought together tens of thousands of conservatives, young conservatives from all over the country, and there was some drama. Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro gave kind of dueling speeches with different visions of what the best path forward for the GOP might be. But at the end of the day, I think one conclusion came across that's relatively clear. Young people are not different from older conservatives in certain core beliefs. They believe in a strong America. They want to see an America that is friendly to markets, that allows the economy to grow without the inhibition from government intervention. And they're really excited about what tomorrow may bring, even if they have different visions of how we get there.
Are you seeing a big education gap between kids that go to more liberal schools versus kids that are going into more of the southern schools?
When we did this event down in Nashville, this focus group where we brought a bunch of Zoomer Republicans around a table and talked to them about how they think about issues, one of the things that really struck me was how much more mature and talkative the kids who didn't attend four-year college degree programs actually were relative to those who were still in school or had just recently graduated from these four-year degree programs. So it is true to some extent that people are going away to college and spending these times and a lot of money in formative years of their life to learn things, and they're only coming out a little bit more without their ideas than they would have had they just stayed home and maybe gotten a job or something like that. So this is an interesting dynamic with respect to how the next generation is being shaped. But above all else, John, more than any of the discrepancies with respect to their educational backgrounds, I was just blown away that we went to the rural South, brought kids from far outside of Nashville who drove a long way to be there, and still, in a really religious room, so few of them reported being married or even being in a serious relationship. This is a really interesting dynamic that's plaguing the next generation. They're very isolated. They feel alone. A lot of them have not paired up and gotten married and settled as early as their parents' generation did. And even though many of them think they'll economically be upwardly mobile, they'll make just as much money or more than their parents, they are saying that they're not ready to settle down and buy homes yet, not just because of the economic considerations, but because they're just not in a position where they know what they want to do with their life or who they want to settle down with yet. That may be a little bit of an explainer with respect to why some of these anxieties and oddities exist with this new generation of conservatives.
So the kids are getting married later and later right now and buying homes later and later.
I think we hear a lot in the media about housing prices being the single biggest reason why Gen Z is plagued or angry. But the truth is there are different dynamics going on. When we actually probed this group of participants about why it is they haven't bought a home yet, some cited economic concerns, sure, but a whole lot more of them talked about their job might move them around. they don't have a partner yet that they know they want to settle down with. They're not sure where they want to live. They want to be in the city now, but they might want to be in the country later. So there's a lot more going on than meets the eye, and I think what the mainstream media is often willing to tell us. Yes, this is a generation of kids that feel certain economic anxieties, but what generation of kids hasn't? And the politics of this generation may really begin to change once the boomer generation dies off and this country sees one of the biggest transfers of wealth generationally that it's ever seen.
Anything else you want to tell the American people?
I just want to say that everybody should kind of keep in mind an optimistic spirit, especially going in here to the Christmas holiday and New Year's. There's a lot of negativity being reported in the news constantly, and I think that the more that we can anchor our pitch as Americans around a success-oriented pitch for the American future, I think that a lot of Americans will be excited about that. The online trenches, they tempt us with grievance politics and angry victimhood politics, but I think in 2026, if we can have a politics that is a little bit more optimistic, it'll be a good thing for the country.
Jesse Arms, Manhattan Institute, thank you so much for coming on, and Happy New Year, and we'll talk in the new year.
Thanks, John. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break.
Here's to quitting. Quitting the couch for a quick run. Quitting the snooze button for a morning workout. Quitting giving up after 2 weeks. You see, staying committed to your fitness goals isn't easy. But with Apple Watch, you don't have to do it alone. Because Apple Watch gives you real-time motivation, plus advanced metrics that track all your workouts, so you can stick to your New Year's fitness resolutions. And once and for all, quit quitting with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
A message from McAfee.
I'd say howdy, but I'm not a real cowboy.
And I'm not a real alien.
We're deep fakes, and because of fakes like us,
it's hard to tell what's real.
Unless you have McAfee. McAfee's scam detector automatically identifies text and email scams.
And even deep fakes.
And it works everywhere, even out on the range.
Yeehaw! But you're not even a real cowboy.
If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Steve Cates, Dr. Sky. Can you believe the year is over, Steve?
No, John, it's amazing how we take for granted, but it's amazing how fast the Earth moves around that racetrack that we call the sun. So Happy New Year 2026. But today, got a couple of interesting stories, John. We're talking about low Earth orbit. Well, you and I talk often, John, about the crowded area of low Earth orbit. So here's a story that comes to us from NATO's intelligence sources. Russia is actually developing a swarm, John, of satellites to knock out potential big clusters like Starlink. Well, they want to counter this. Obviously, these constellation of satellites, they're looking to build in low Earth orbit a cluster of these high-density pellets that you could release from these satellites to disable or destroy low Earth orbit satellites. And they call it the zone effect. And this weapon could be developed, of course, and deployed, that is, in wartime situations. So how vulnerable we are to what's up there, even though we trust that those objects in space continue to give us good communications. That's an interesting story, John, because space is already too crowded in low Earth orbit.
And sound travels at the speed of light, too, doesn't it? Or is it about the same, or is it a little bit different?
It's a little less, John, because you're talking about the speed of sound. You have to break like 760-some miles per hour.
You know what I meant?
Yeah.
I apologize.
In space.
Radio transmission in space. How fast does that travel?
Travel the speed of light. So you're looking at that incredible speed, which if you translate it, John, into simple numbers, the speed of light is 670 million miles an hour. And that one is way off the charts. That's incredible.
So you shoot it out, a radio signal. Does it disintegrate after a while?
It does, John. As the continuance of these satellite transmissions, let's take a look at what's going on with Voyager. We find out that it takes hours and hours, maybe a whole day just to get there. But, John, over time, that signal would depreciate, and it would take a long time for that signal to depreciate. But from low Earth orbit, it's pretty much instantaneous. But the problem is, since low Earth orbit, John, is packed with so many satellites, this effect that Russia's trying to develop, maybe to knock out swarms of satellites, that would be a bad day for business, a bad day for communication. regardless of how fast those signals would travel. The problem, John, is low Earth orbit is too populated. There are now some 21,000 satellites in orbit at this time, and that number keeps growing, of course. There are about 8,000 satellites, and low Earth orbit's up to about 1,200 miles. And let's not forget the geosynchronous satellites that are out at 22,000 miles. The alleged number is between 500 and 600 satellites. So that whole area of space is so crowded. We've talked about it so many times. And an aerospace engineer came up with a concept. He called it the Kessler syndrome, and it's real simple to understand that the packedness of space with these satellites, if one or two are destroyed, the residual damage comes from all those particles that are floating around in space. And this is a mind-boggling number, John. Scientists tell us that there's now about 100 million particles in space in low Earth orbit that are larger than 1 millimeter. So it's like a shooting gallery up there right now. And that's why we either need to defend it with Space Force or do something majestic. The problem is the traffic lanes up there in space are just getting overly crowded, to say the least.
They're getting more and more crowded. And has there ever been an attempt from any of the other countries to affect the satellites of another country?
Absolutely. Well, China did it to themselves. They fired at one of their old, as they called it, a satellite that was no longer necessary, a weather satellite, and they decided to do something interesting. They fired a missile from the ground. They called them ASAT missiles. And what it did, John, this is like, I believe, around 2008 or 2009, and the whole world was upset because when you blow a thing like that up, you see all this debris. And if anybody wants to watch some of this stuff in real time, or at least in video, you go back to the movie with, Mr. Clooney, and you see the movie Gravity. And they show what would happen if satellites collided in space. And they did this simulation of that hitting the International Space Station. George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. That movie, I thought, even though it's well over, a decade old, that gave us the best description, John, of what would happen if objects like that were coming across in space. It was like a meteor storm, and it literally tore apart in that case, the imaginary space station. Totally amazing.
Wow.
It is incredible. But, John, we got one last one. We got the mystery of the week, and this is interesting. And I don't have an answer to this, but the question is, have humans and AI reached what's called the singularity point? And if so, if not, when? So what's singularity? The ability to meld human thought with computer power, and where those two things would intersect with each other, and not to get overly complicated. Some say, according to Ray Kurzweil, a futurist and an AI scientist, he's written many books, and we've talked with him and on the Dr. Sky Experience. Here's his summary. They were thinking back up to 2045, when machines will be able to do that faster than humans. But now it's been pushed to 2029, and some are now even saying that singularity could come next year, John. And what's the singularity difference? How about this one? This is mind-boggling. For a computer to be able to do 1 trillion calculations in a second, well, that sure beats the smartest people I know, John. How about you?
That's definitely. Now, let me ask, has there been any proof at all that our brains or our minds are transmitting anything anywhere?
I don't know that, John. Again, I'm not the expert in the biology.
But we should look into that, because there might be something there. I mean, the old telepathy between humans.
What
is it?
Right, John.
Does it really
there's
exist?
Something in our brain. Right. There's something in our brain. This is what I know, and many people do know this. It has a frequency. And if we're able to perceive that frequency or put in and out there, in and out information. But the problematic thing, John,
then you could intertwine it with the computer that we build, or artificial intelligence or whatever.
Right, but here's the metric, John, in closing, that scientists are saying would be that singularity. AI's ability, John, to translate speech at the accuracy of a human. So we have to be careful of that. Because you can build a robot, it can move, it can do things. But if you have, or that AI machine or robot has the ability to translate speech at the accuracy of a human, that might indeed be the singularity point. And there's a lot of pro and cons to that, well beyond the scope of this interview and our opportunity here on the Cats Roundtable. But you're right, John. These are some of the great mysteries that need to be discussed. And finally, as we move toward almost the 2026 mark, here's a sneak preview of what's coming up in the sky in the month of January. John, in the morning of the 3rd of January, we see another supermoon when it's closest to the Earth, called the super wolf moon. And the planet Jupiter, John, is the big one for January. You look in the northeast sky just around 9 p.m., folks, no matter where you're listening, around the nation, around the world, of course, wherever it's dark. That big white object, John, to many is symbolic of what the Bethlehem star, the Star of Bethlehem was. But Jupiter, John, we're lucky we have it. Because if we didn't have Jupiter, it pulls in so many of these errant asteroids and objects. It's a frustrated star, but it would need 80 times the mass, John, to turn itself into a second sun. And we wish everybody best of health and happiness for the new year, 2026.
God bless you.
The Cats Roundtable.
New Year's 4 days away, and it looks like 50,000 could be done. And we have John Terrett with us to give us an update.
Good morning, John. Well, we're in the middle of 2 holiday-shortened weeks, of course. The New York Stock Exchange was closed last Thursday before Christmas Day. We had mixed data last week as well. Gas prices for the holiday season, the lowest in years at around $3 a gallon. That's pretty cool. On the other hand, consumer confidence coming in the lowest since the tariff rollout back in April. And on the third hand, if we had one, consumer spending drove GDP or growth in the U.S. economy in the third quarter. It expanded at its fastest clip in 2 years at an annual rate of 4.3%. Not bad. Company news, Tim Cook spent $3 million to buy 50,000 Nike shares. It was announced last week. Nike shares up 2% in the early part of the week. Nike's been declining lately. You may remember a couple of weeks ago on the program I told you that their shares fell 10% after their recent set of earnings. Tim Cook now owns 600 million Nike shares to 900 million of his own Apple. Intel, the chip maker in California, down 4% in the early part of last week. Reuters reporting that they have halted tests on a new chip. Intel is an important company. Here's why. NVIDIA, its great rival in the same town, has invested $5 million in the company, and the government owns a 10% stake. And this is all about propping up domestic chip or microchip making in the United States. And the big story from the early part of last week was a company called Dynavax, which you may not have heard of. It's a drug producer. They were bought by Sanofi, the French company based in Paris, for $2.2 billion. Dynavax makes a hepatitis B drug, and Sanofi wants to get its hands on that to expand its range. Dynavax shares were up 40% before the Christmas holiday. Crypto story of the week, an outpouring of support for Cynthia Loomis, who's the Republican senator from Wyoming. They call her the crypto queen because of all the good work she's done for the crypto community. She's been the junior senator in Wyoming since 2021. She'll be gone by January of 2027. The week ahead, the New York Stock Exchange closes on Thursday, the first day of the year. And you want my predictions for 2026? Well, in 2025, the S&P 500 has been flirting with 17%. You know the Dow, I think, is going to continue flirting with 50,000. And I heard you on air last week suggesting it may even go to 60,000. And I think you're right. And part of the reason for that, of course, is that the BBB, the big, beautiful bill that President Trump keeps talking about, kicks in on the 1st of January with all those tax cuts. So we'll see what happens to the economy in 2026. And, John, a very happy 2026 to you and your family.
Thank you so much, and we'll catch up again real soon in the new year. Thank you.
Yep, I'll talk to you next year.
Thank you for being with us for the Cats Roundtable Local Edition, the #1 show on Sunday mornings in New York. Keep listening to us for the Cats Roundtable National Edition between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, so we'll be back to you in a few minutes after the news.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.